Let's make a cottage pie. I haven't had a cottage pie in so long and I was craving one so bad. I started off by heating up my onion and frying one large onion and 2 carrots. Then left that for a couple of minutes until the carrots began to soften before adding some garlic paste. Then went ahead and began adding all my seasonings. I'll leave all the seasonings in the captions below. I then went ahead and added some water and fried off the seasonings a little bit before adding 1 tablespoon of tomato puree. At this point the sauce was ready, so I went ahead and added my sweet corn and the beef mince. I just went round and broke up all the chunky bits and give that a really good mix before popping the lid on and allowing that to simmer. Once the majority of the meat had turned brown, I then went ahead and added 450 milliliters of beef stock. I then popped that on low and allowed that to simmer before going in and adding some gravy granules. I've never added my gravy granules straight into the pan. I usually mix it into the water with my beef stock cube. However, I've seen a lot of people just adding it straight to the pan, so I thought I'd give it a try. And it did work, and it was a lot easier. I then went ahead and began making the mash. I boiled my potatoes for around 25 minutes before removing the water and mashing all the potatoes up. I then gradually added some milk and some butter and a little pinch of salt. I ended up with this super creamy mashed potato. At this point, both my mince and my mash was cooked. So I then transferred that over to my baking tray, starting off with the mince on the bottom. I just added a couple spoonfuls of that mince until the bottom of my tray was completely covered. Then went over and added a ton of mash. I like to add a load of mash over the top because it is easier to spread around. Plus we don't want the mash to mix in with the mince, so this makes it a lot easier. And if this is too much, you can still remove some of the mash. However, I do like mine with a lot of mash. I also see a lot of people piping this over the top. You can do either way really. I then just used a fork to engrave the mash over the top, get that traditional cottage pie look, and then sprinkled over some cheese. I used mozzarella cheese. Then popped that in the oven on gas mark 5 until the cheese got this beautiful golden brown colour. Once it was out the oven, I sprinkled over a little bit of parsley and then it was time to plate. Guys, I'm awful at plating, especially the first slice. It's always so hard. Anyways, this is the cottage pie all done, and thank you so much for watching. Have a happy new year. Bye.